Hi, how are you? It's Coreyemmah here again, and for this week's topic for YouTube Pagan Challenge, we have a question. How do you avoid stagnation and spiritual slumps? So, first of all, I would say that I don't really try to avoid something. Well, maybe I do, but I'm not aware of it. And especially in case of any kind of stagnation or spiritual slumps, I would not say that I'm avoiding consciously anything like that. Of course, I'd say that in my life there had been some situations in which I was avoiding some stuff which was happening in my life, but I'd say that it's quite connected with shadow work to try to not to avoid what is happening in your life. And it can also be stagnation or a spiritual slump. The part of the shadow work is to give yourself a space to go through different stages in your life. So I'd say, especially during the winter time, that a tiny bit of stagnation is not really against us, that it can actually be quite helpful to help us to relax, to find our protective things, to find some stuff inside of us which is creating some kind of basics of our personality, and which is, let's say, simple and the core of us. And in these things, or to go to these things, we can simply or more easily through some times of stagnation or through some times of really like a drastic change. So I'd say that stagnation can be also something that can bring us something good. So my main answer will be that I don't really try to avoid any kind of stagnation or spiritual slumps. Of course, it comes time to time into the life of every single witch that there's actually something like, oh, I don't really feel like a witch in the moment, I don't really feel connected, I don't really feel that my magic would work, I don't really feel powerful, or I don't really know if I still believe in God, and I don't really know if I'm not more on that side of, no, there's nothing spiritual in our world. I think that it's also absolutely okay, that it's the main thing in our practice to be able to kind of see things from different points of view. And when we are in the spiritual slump, when we need a break from our spirituality, when we need some space to think about it, to know what do we really feel, how do we really feel about our spirituality, if we will actually miss it, and so on. I think that these times in our life can be actually quite good for our path. These times when we can have some kind of break, because I personally feel my journey through witchcraft as one continuous way since I was 11. It's still the same thing, it's still part of my life, it is my lifestyle basically. But this lifestyle is made from the shadow work in which I allow to myself to do things in a way I feel them. So it can happen that I will not feel so connected with nature and with gods, and it's absolutely okay in that moment. It is needed in my life. It is needed to prove myself again, and to let gods and nature to prove me that this has some kind of value in my life, that spirituality is important for me in the end. And that's the thing why I always end up as a spiritual person in the end of the day, every single time. And I would even say that I can't really remember or recall any kind of any time when I would be really feeling like that I'm in some kind of spiritual slump. Time to time I have the feeling that I don't want to really make videos, but nothing that would be nothing that would make me to not to celebrate the Sabbath happened in years and years. So maybe there's another thing about that I'm not experienced with spiritual slumps so much as some other people. Simply this path is so working with me, it's so like feeling good, right and true, that that I don't really feel to go through any kind of spiritual slumps. Or maybe I might be going through some kind of stagnation or spiritual slumps, but I don't even realize that, because I feel it as a part of my path, part of my journey. So I'd say that from my point of view, the main answer is that I'm not trying to avoid anything like stagnation, spiritual slumps, or anything else in my life. Of course, there are things which I do avoid, because everyone does, but nothing consciously, nothing that I would be trying to push somewhere behind without knowing about it, or with knowing about it, sorry about that. So yeah, so this is my answer for this week's topic, and see you next week.